Yeah, I want to talk about this, some of the stuff about New World Order, silver, and all this garbage. Like, the end is going to come about after the dollar at one point in time. Probably will. Probably. I don't think it's going to collapse right away, though, because there's a lot behind it. Everybody's using the dollar. It's still the world reserve currency. If we replaced it with another fiat currency, they'd have to inflate the hell out of that. So it's not going to happen right away. It's going to take some years, but it's going to happen. But, in this case of like an emergency, say something happens where, I don't know, we have these big national emergencies, there's not enough fuel out there or something like that or whatever. Like this storm at Sandy Hook. Silver ain't going to do you much good immediately. Actually, people might catch on to it, like if there's a real breakdown in society, which is like really imaginary. It's like what if happens right away. Silver actually might take some weeks before people start to realize, hey, silver's money. Because it has to be commonly, perceived by most people that silver is money before it to be really worth something. In reality, I know it's been worth money for 2,000 years, but if the average person on the street looks at silver like, what the hell is this shit? Give me some food and gasoline. It ain't going to be doing you too much good. I think it's going to take a little bit if there was like a major catastrophe. After a few weeks or so, or a few months, then I think silver is going to start coming into its own. But that's like a what-if situation. I don't think it's going to work like that right away. As far as like a conspiracy to hold down silver prices, yeah, I think there is somewhat. Maybe not to some great extent like some of these people are thinking. We should be at least $200 or $300 silver now. I'd say $40. And actually for 2013, all these, if you take the averages of all these major analysts, it should be about $40. That's what they think it's going to go up to. It could go higher. I've been saying this, if you knew when there's going to be a conflict with Iran, it's almost like an axiom, a postulate that silver's going to go much higher if there's a major conflict in the Middle East. It just like look back historically. This is not exactly like a guessing game, but the guessing game is if and when a war with Iran occurs. That's the guessing game. But if you knew that was going to happen, betting on silver, oil, and gold, you'd win. You'd definitely win. Actually, gold and oil would probably take off initially, and then silver would catch up, actually, in percentage gains. It would really fly. But, as of right now, the spot market and the physical price of metals really has not separated. I mean, if you go to Gainesville Coins, one of the generic coins I always liked was the Walking Liberty. It looks like the old silver dollar. Actually, that's a good one actually to probably get that's generic. I mean, I don't know why people have to have American Silver Eagles. Maybe that's a good one too. But the Walking Liberty, everybody pretty much is familiar with the American silver dollar, and that used to be filled with silver all the way through 90%, right? So I mean, that has a good psychological impact. If you had like a panda bear on or something like that, or a moose or something, even a buffalo. A buffalo is a pretty good one too. The buffalo with the Indian head, that's a good one too. Anything that looks a little bit like the old American money probably is a good generic round to get. But, if there's like a collapse or something, say there is one, you better be thinking about a whole bunch of other stuff besides silver. First is, what do you do? I mean, you're going to say, oh, I'm going to go down to like Walmart with my silver coins and buy shit? No, say there's a collapse or something, right? Maybe they're not going to be delivering food as fast as people need. You want to have food storage. You want to have water storage. You want to have, you have protection with guns and stuff. You want to have medical supplies big time too. And, I think I posted this video before about killing pathogens with a 6-volt battery. Man, I don't know if I should have posted that. I saw one person put thumbs down, and I'm not like trying to be like, oh, give me thumbs up and low. I'm just saying is, probably the person that did that probably rightfully thought in his mind that that's a bunch of snake oil and BS to actually knock out pathogens with a 6-volt battery. There's too much feedback I've seen from people that it works like crazy. So, That should be in your survival bag, definitely, definitely, as a last resort. But you know, if there's a collapse in society, you definitely have to have good nutrition. You definitely want to have colloidal silver stored up, already made up, gallons of it. You want to have medical supplies. You want to have ways to purify water. You want to have a lot of water storage. You want to have fuel, energy, heat, the whole time, everything. Not just silver. And bicycles for transportation or motorcycles or whatever. So, you know, but I don't think this is going to happen right away. I think it's going to take some time. And you know, here's another common sense point. If the dollar went to oblivion, the so-called New World Order elite actually did lose control, because how would they pay the people in the government that they use to try to control the average person with? How would they pay them? Right? I mean, I guess it could be a scenario where the United Nations would be the controlling force and it'd come into the United States or something. I don't know. I mean, that's always been a thing. But you know, I've been around since like the 50s, and they used to have these, you know, the scare with, you know, duck and cover because the Russians were ready to nuke us at any time, or the Chinese or somebody was going to nuke the United States. Well, there's been like these kind of scares all along. I'm not saying that you shouldn't prepare for them, but it's good to be cool and just be austere and be Spartan and keep your priorities. Like, in other words, a lot of people spend a lot of extra time on entertainment, garbage like that. You should actually prepare, but be chill about it too. Be chill about it. Because actually preparing should actually save you money. It should actually be a way to save you money. You'd be surprised at, you know, another thing too. If you're looking at, like, if there is a collapse, if you had thousands and thousands and thousands of ounces of silver, and somebody had, you know, 2 years worth of food, you know, 1,000 gallons of diesel fuel, generators, guns, water supplies and storage tanks, and medical supplies up to yin yang, and this other person just had silver, the one that had just had silver would be screwed. Really. So you got to be practical about it, you know. It's good to have a mixed bag of everything. That's why I would not say always buy on the dips and all this kind of bullshit. To tell you the truth, I think a lot of these people on, well, not all of them, but some people on YouTube are really bad news with this silver crap, you know. The more I've actually seen stuff with Brother John F. put out, the more I don't like that guy at all. He strikes me as Mr. Snake Oil fake Christian to the max, you know. But I actually blame not him on that, but I actually blame the tards that listen to that bullshit more than anything, because I realized that, you know, there's a sucker born every day. But you know, I said yesterday I think silver's going to pull back a little bit. It probably should if the market crashes somewhat, because, you know, the Dow being at 14,000, it could pull back some. But I think actually silver's going to do well this year. So I didn't even sell any brokerage accounts. I mean, I said there's going to be a pullback. I didn't sell any of my PSLV or anything like that. Not at all. You know, and I got EKK stock and some other stock in silver. I didn't sell them. You know, so I'm just waiting. But I think there might be a pullback because the Dow's probably going to get hit, and if the Dow gets hit, silver's going to get hit. But just remember, silver's not going to be your number one safety. No way. I mean, if you're a farmer and you're like on a, you know how to grow all your own food and raise your animals and stuff, and you don't even have 1 ounce of silver except for maybe making, say you have 1 ounce of silver to make colloidal silver with, and that's the only silver you have, you're probably better off than somebody in the city that has, you know, 10,000 ounces. So just look at it like this, you know. It's these guys that are pushing silver like it's going to be your only safety. They're full of shit. That's all I got to say. They're full of it. It's not going to be your only safety. And not everything on a piece of paper is going to go down. Where you're going to probably have a problem with paper, especially it's going to be government-backed paper. But yeah, I have physical silver too, big time. So, I mean, I'm not against it, but like I said, I think it's a whole hodgepodge of different things that you have to be into to if there's a collapse. And I don't think the dollar, like I says, can collapse all the way, because if it did collapse all the way, the elite really truly would have lost total control, because the government would collapse. In other words, people worried about, what are they doing with all this domestic terrorism and people that are, it was a homeland security and all this other garbage. Well, how would they pay them, right? How would they pay them? If the dollar collapsed, how could they pay these guys, right? So it's not going to totally collapse. That's what I don't think. I just think we're going to experience a lot of inflation. And silver's going to be one way to protect you. But it's not a forever hold. I'm going to do what the hell I want to do, because I realized me listening to some of the idiots I gave me advice, it screwed me up. I'm using my own devil's sense. And, I sold platinum and palladium, right, and then I said afterwards what I did. But that was just the electronic account. And it could go up, I don't know. But I'm going to sit and wait patiently like a cat and see if there's buying opportunities coming up. So I'm playing my own game. And I don't get any advice off anybody on YouTube. Now, if you want to listen to me, I'm going to tell you this. Buying silver's smart, but it ain't the only smart thing you can do. Buy food, buy water, medical supplies first. If you really think there's a crash coming up, those things you need more than silver. So just put your priorities in straight, and beware of the snake oil on YouTube, because there's a pile of it out there. And if there's a war with Iran, silver is going to spike like crazy. It should. If you look back historically, whenever there's been major conflict in the Middle East, that's when silver really takes off. Oil and silver don't relate good, but when oil goes in a hard bull run, silver goes in a really hard bull run too. That's when silver takes off. So if you look back, tensions in the Middle East is where silver can take off. It could take off a lot more than 40 this year. Now, if we had the war with Iran last year, we probably would have seen a major spike in silver. I would have dumped some physical land too. But hey, not all of it though, but some of it. Do what you want though, but I know what I'm doing.